welcome to this week's video. It's a fun story time about my real life experience quitting my job. I realized as I was making this video about 4 or 5 times, but honestly it was because I wasn't in the right industry. I was not in the right career. So come along with me on this journey of how I got to where I am now, very happy and fulfilled in my career and excited about what the next steps look like and how I went through that career transition. And at the end of the video, I'm also sharing some really great, super simple and easy career transition tips that you all can try out as well throughout your job search and figuring out what really aligns with who you are and what you want in life. And if you are new, subscribe to the channel. We're all about personal growth over here and from a holistic perspective. So we focus on a ton of different topics that will help you become the best version of yourself and live your absolute best life. So let's go ahead and get into the video. No, I just realized this is my first time filming like a chit chat, get ready with me video in the new house, in the new bathroom. So there's probably an echo, so sorry about that. But actually this is one of my most favorite rooms in the entire house. Like I just feel like it's so big and spacious, which was a huge thing that we wanted in this new space. And I absolutely love it. So I'm excited to film in here today, to do some makeup and just like have some fun chit chat and get ready with me, but also sharing some very important and helpful facts for all of you as well. So this video is going to be divided into 2 separate parts, and I'll make sure that I timestamp everything below at the bottom for you as well. But first things first, I am going to be kind of just going through a little bit of a story time, telling you about my personal experience with transitioning careers, what led me to that point. Y'all, it's a long story, but it's a good story. So I think that y'all will really enjoy it, and I hope it's also going to be an inspirational story for you if you're just trying to figure out like what the next steps are logically for your life and for your career and how to make the best decisions in that regard. So we're playing around with some makeup. In the meantime, I'm actually getting ready to film another YouTube video about boundaries. I'm refilming that story for another time. I literally was not in focus at all, so I have to refilm. But if y'all see any products that you have questions about, definitely just ask in the comment section and I'll try to find a link for you. Most of the stuff is linkable, and I'm just kind of doing like my everyday makeup routine, but like a little bit more intense because we're gonna be on camera. Okay, so enough blabbering about what's going on. I am gonna go ahead and jump straight into the story time. I'm gonna be looking at a few different places because I've got like mirrors and everything everywhere. But in order to really get the gist of the story, we have to rewind all the way back to 2011, which is when I graduated high school. Oh, child, which is when I graduated college. Please. Anyways, so I graduated college in 2011 with my bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary studies, which basically meant I could be a teacher. So literally as soon as I graduated, I got a job. So I graduated in May and I started teaching that year in August. And I actually taught at the middle school that I attended. So it was kind of like this full circle moment, like a little homecoming situation. I was so excited. That quickly faded. So obviously things change in like 10 years or so, and a lot had changed. And the school that I taught at was nothing like the school that I actually attended. Like it was definitely a lot rougher. And as a first year teacher, like I just was not equipped. However, I learned so much in that first year. I got real wise real quick and became very, very skilled at teaching to the point where like every evaluation and things like that that they would do, that I would get distinguished achievement, which basically means like you're good to go, you know what you're doing type of thing. Which you would think that's fantastic, but just because you're good at something doesn't mean that's the job that you should be doing, or doesn't mean that should be your long-term career. So I stayed for 2 years at that school because I was like, look, my first year was like definitely a trial. I did not know what I was doing. Let me roll into year 2, 6th grade science, still a terrible experience. So I was like, you know what? I think it's actually the grade level. I'm thinking of all the other things except for like, girl, you should not be a teacher. So I ended up going to get certified in elementary school. So I did, I think pre-K through 5th and all core subjects, because I was just like, whatever, I will take whatever job is available to me. And I ended up getting a 5th grade math and science teaching position. I did not finish the year. That was actually the first year that I quit. Also, I quit multiple times, so buckle up. But that was the first year that I quit teaching. I quit in March. The school year was going to be over in May, but I was like, no, like I have to choose myself. I really have to focus on my mental health. And I just had like a lot of stuff going on in my life at that time. And I was like, I don't need this. Like there's no reason that I have to stay here. So I'm out. At that point, I was like, okay, I need a job, but like I need something really basic, simple, and easy. So I started teaching dance for an after-school enrichment program. Mind you, throughout this time, like I danced in high school and in college. And then I also taught a dance team at the middle school that I worked at too. So I had kind of always done it like on the side, but I hadn't done it as like my full job type of thing. So I started working part-time, like literally 2 to 5, a few days a week, teaching dance. Well, obviously like that's not a sustainable living, but at the time, like that was what I needed, and I'm so glad that I had the circumstances to be able to do that. But of course, in the midst of all of that, which I guess is a good thing, they were like, Amber, you literally have like a whole teaching degree and all of this experience, like we feel like your skill set's being wasted. So I ended up getting promoted to having like my own site that I was directing and coordinating, and then eventually I became a program liaison. So I was doing human relations, people management, curriculum design, and pretty much everything else in between. So at this point, I'm like, okay, perfect. Like I found a loophole. This is gonna be my forever career. I'm able to kind of like be around education without actually like being immersed in the education field. So I felt like it was a good fit. Well, needless to say, honestly, there was no like big dramatic thing that happened. I worked there for 6 years, and I think that I had just like put myself in this sheltered bubble of thinking like, oh, there's no other great opportunity where I can have a good schedule and enjoy what I do and like be able to use all these different skill sets. So I was not really looking at all. And then one day I was just like, Amber, you're better than this and you need to make another choice. So I quit again. So this is the second time that I'm quitting like from the education world. You would think that that would have been like a cue for me, but no, I'm like, it's fine. I'm gonna go back into teaching for a school district. So I knew like obviously I needed to figure some things out, but I was kind of like, well, let me just teach in the meantime. And I ended up teaching dance for an elementary school. So I was one of the like ancillary or like specials teachers. So like the core teachers would bring their kids to my class once a week or so, and they would do dance, and it was so cute and so fun. So a lot of people, like especially in the education world, are like, oh, that's an easy job, that's a cakewalk job, like you never leave those. It's kind of like becoming a PE coach, like once you do it forever. But I was like, I'm gonna do 2 years and then I'm gonna be out. That was not necessarily the original plan, but honestly, that's the way things worked out, and I feel like that's the way things were supposed to work out. So at this point, I'm working what people consider like a dream job in education. All is well, I'm teaching dance, and then the pandemic hits. But I'm like, you know what, while I'm here, like let me use this time to kind of like figure some things out. And I was like, look, I really do want to get back into educational management or like some type of directing, but for a school district, not for an after school program. So I'm like, you know what, I want to be at the district building, up there clicking my heels down the hallway. Like that was the ultimate goal. So I'm like, okay, cool. While I'm teaching dance, I'll figure out those next steps. Well, pandemic happens. I start teaching dance remotely from home. Honestly, I think I was doing that from March to August. So it was like a good chunk of time. So I'm like, you know what? I need to use this time a lot more wisely and go to grad school. So at that point, I was always like, I'm not going to go to grad school. I do not want to be a principal, because I felt like educational leadership was the only direction to go, or counseling, which kind of aligns with what I do now. But I didn't want to do counseling for a school district because I just felt like it wasn't legitimate counseling. It was like schedule changes and just like school politics and stuff that I didn't want to deal with. So I'm like, not gonna do counseling. Well, a little research goes a long way, and I realized that I could get my master's degree in educational business administration. So I was like, perfect, because I did want to get into like some type of business ownership, and I minored in educational entrepreneurship. And surprisingly, I actually ended up really enjoying grad school. It was such a positive experience for me. And that's also kind of where like my passion for life coaching started to blossom just a bit. So I was like, okay, cool, like let me get some focus with this. So I ended up focusing my educational entrepreneurship minor on the counseling direction, because I'm like, okay, I feel like this life coaching, career coaching type of business is the direction that I want to go, but I still don't know what that looks like. And I was still like holding on to the idea that I should be in education. So in the meantime, I'm always like looking for the next opportunity. So I'm like, let me go ahead and get fully certified as a life coach. And that's when I started working for Blush. And we're on year 4. So I have been working for Blush for 4 years and I absolutely love it still. I feel like I will be working for Blush for 40 years if the opportunity presents itself. But it was just kind of something that I did a couple hours a week. I had a few clients and it was definitely just like a side passion project. I never thought like, hey, I could coach and allow this to be my full-time main income. So I'm coaching, I'm also teaching dance, but at this point it's virtual. And then we moved. We decided we want to buy our first home. We moved to like a different suburb of Houston, which was like an hour away from my job. If y'all know me, I hate driving. I am a soft life queen. I am a passenger princess. I will not be driving for 60 minutes, 90 minutes, both ways every single day. So I was like, no, that's a pass for me. As much as this is supposed to be like a cushy dream job, I'm done. The dream does not involve driving. So I ended up leaving that school. In the midst, I had like a few more classes of grad school left. So I was like, you know what, let me just do something that I can do with my eyes closed. So I ended up working at a school 10 minutes from our house, right down the street, teaching 6th grade science again, because I was like, I just need something really easy so I can focus on grad school and like figure out my life and figure out what the logical next steps are for me. Sorry, I'm doing brows and trying to talk. It's an art. But figuring out what the next steps logically were for me within my career. So teaching 6th grade science, but I went into that year knowing like, this is it. I'm only gonna be here for 1 year. I am gonna teach, finish grad school, and I'm gonna move on to what's next. Even though I didn't know what would be next, I knew this was just like a place that I was passing through. And honestly, having that mindset helped me enjoy my last year of teaching so much. Like that was absolutely my favorite year. I felt like so seasoned and so great. I loved the kids, I loved the activities, I loved being super close to home. So it was a positive overall. But at that point, I still did not have a plan. I just knew like I was not coming back. So when they ask you to sign like your letter of intent, it's usually around March, basically saying like, hey, do you intend to come back and teach the same grade level and the same subject next year? I was like, no. So this is the 3rd, 4th time I quit at this point. I didn't know what my plan was, but I knew this wasn't it. I had already like packed up my classroom. I pulled my car up, backed it up to the thing and was like, all right, y'all, let's pack this up. Miss Wilcots will not be returning. So at that point, I'm just like crying and praying and praying and crying that like something will work out. And it definitely took a lot of just like faith and patience, knowing that the right opportunity is going to be there and I'm going to receive that blessing. So I just sat myself down and I tried to be patient. Thankfully, of course, everything worked out. So I ended up finishing grad school and I got a job that, again, I thought was my dream job in education, which was a director position for an education nonprofit, which honestly, like that company, I still am like, if I ever go back to education, I am definitely going to work for them again. I felt like it was such a great company, such a great mission, such a great vision. Their values were amazing. But honestly, the biggest issue again was the commute for me. That was the one that was 90 minutes. I also paid tolls, $12 a day. And it was just like, this isn't worth it. But overall, like, love them down. I would definitely go back there if I decided to go back into education, because I feel like in education, you really have to align with the value, the vision, the mission, all that kind of stuff of the company that you're working with. And that's how I felt about them. So you never know. You may see me, if they have a remote position available, I may end up back in the education world, but I really don't think that's the direction I'm gonna go. It's just like always this inkling of like, let me go back to it. But honestly, like, I feel like I am truly past that point in my life. So when I was deciding to leave that job, I was like, you know what, like, let me just go for my passion. Thankfully, again, I have the circumstances, and my husband is very supportive and like, yeah, whatever, go for it. And we'll see what happens throughout that process. So that is literally what I did. So I'm like, look, let me go ahead and just see like if I can just find a job that's truly aligned with my purpose, my passion, and like everything that I'm wanting and where I feel like I truly should be in life. And that was coaching. So I'm like, let me see if I can take this coaching thing full time. Like this blush is not blushing. I love this blush color. It's from the Sephora collection. It's called Flirted Up. But it is very, very natural, which I don't feel like picks up on camera. So I'm gonna go back in a little bit heavier with the blush. So at this point, I'm like, look, I don't even feel like coaching full time could be a thing. Like, and I didn't want to because I'm like, I want to enjoy coaching. I don't want it to feel like something I have to do for this income. It's like, okay, the extra income was nice, but it wasn't my main focus. But then there was a company who I'd actually crossed paths with about a year or two before. And this was when I was just like, no, I'm gonna be an education director, all this jazz. So I was kind of like, hey, like I've accepted another position, you know, moving on. So I ended up reaching back out to them. I still work there now. So obviously things worked out and I ended up coaching full time. So for them, I am a full-time career coach. And then I also have my life coaching that I contract with Blush for, and it literally all worked out. Now, is this my forever job? I don't know. I feel like it's my forever company because again, like I'm very aligned with the mission, the vision, values, all that kind of stuff. But I also know that like coaching is very draining. And so like if I want to be able to give 100% to every single person that I work with, I don't think I can continue doing all of it and like handling this caseload long term. So we'll see kind of what's coming down the pipeline next as far as that goes. But it was truly like such a blessing, and I have so many amazing benefits from this job, and I've learned so much about myself, and I've learned so much as a coach as well. So for now, that's kind of the gist. I'm a life coach, career coach. I am certified as a holistic lifestyle coach because I feel like it just encompasses and explains everything that I do. But also I have my YouTube channel, content creation, and stuff like that as well. But I don't know what the missing piece of the puzzle is or what like the next journey is gonna be in my next chapter. So that's where I'm at now. Like I'm just in the process of like really forging my path and deciding what my next steps are gonna be. Regardless, I know I wanna retire at 55, so we gotta move kind of quick and figure out what those next steps are. I have a lot of options, which is great, exciting, and fantastic. I think that's another great thing about like going through a career transition. It allows you to have a lot of options and flexibility and realize like you can do so many different things. So I know definitely like I never want to stop coaching for Blush. So I'll definitely always be doing that. But I think I really want to immerse myself in the wellness space even more. So I don't know if that's like maybe creating wellness retreats or opening up a Pilates studio, first working at a Pilates studio, getting the experience, or something that's really focused on just like the holistic person and creating an opportunity for people to go and immerse themselves in that world. Still obviously very early stages of figuring out what that looks like, but I'm excited and I feel like it could be just such a great like exciting opportunity for me that I'm going to love and want to do long term. Like definitely leaning into the business entrepreneurial side of the wellness space and figuring out what's next for me. There's also something in the works, which I'm not going to tell y'all about yet because it's like legitimately in the works right now. So stay tuned because I think I'll make a official video once that's complete, which should be by the end of the year. So very, very fun things coming up next in the career world as well. But also that's not going to be my main thing. It's just going to be another thing that I do in addition to really focusing on coaching and wellness. So honestly, I'm just telling this long story because I hope that it inspires you. I want you to know that like you can quit something that you felt like you always should be doing. You can go into a new career. You can expand your mindset, and it doesn't have to be this big scary thing. You can do it, and if you want a change in your life, there's a reason for that, and you deserve to have that change in your life as well. So if you're not feeling fulfilled, like definitely take the initiative to find your next chapter and to take the steps in the right direction. So that takes us into the second part of this video where I'm gonna be sharing some career transition tips. So definitely get your pen and paper ready, or also feel free to come back to this video whenever you need to for a refresh. Also, I know we've now ventured into hair, but it's a full get ready situation for filming today. I just got these braids 2 weeks ago. I'm probably gonna take them out. It's my toxic trait, like having a style for 2 weeks and then I'm like, no thanks. But I also really want to make sure that my hair is growing, so I'm gonna try my best to keep these in 2 more weeks, but I make you no promises. All right, so getting into the first tip, that is self-assessment. You have to reflect on your skills, your strengths, your interests in order to identify some potential career pathways that could be a good fit for you. Next up, you've got to do your research. Honestly, if I had done my research sooner, I would probably have made a transition sooner because sometimes we just feel like there's not opportunities, and that's literally just due to us not knowing what's out there because we haven't looked. So investigate different industries and roles that you may be interested in, do some informational interviews, reach out to people on LinkedIn who work for those companies or who work in those industries who can provide some type of guidance for you throughout this process. And also, you're probably gonna have to do some type of additional education or additional training, but this doesn't mean like necessarily full-on school or getting a new degree. It could just be professional development or expanding your skill set in a certain area. So consider acquiring some new skills, also some additional certifications that can really enhance your resume and help you during your career transition. So like for me, that was getting certified as a life coach or making sure that I pivoted my schooling to focus on counseling because I knew that was the direction I wanted to go. There are a ton of online resources, courses, workshops, in person, other things that you can do as well in order to kind of enhance your experience in different areas or industries that you're hoping to get into. And another great way to kind of get that experience is through volunteering. Now, of course, you're probably going to still be working while you're doing this. So see if there are opportunities to volunteer maybe early morning or evenings or on the weekend in order to immerse yourself in that world to learn more about the industry and to make some really great networking connections. And now you have to rebrand yourself. Definitely update your resume and update your online presence, most likely on LinkedIn, since that is the more professional, like social media type of site. You really want to make sure that it reflects who you are and the direction that you're hoping to go. So when you are working on your resume, when you're working on your LinkedIn profile, it's really important to make sure that they're tailored, that you're highlighting those relevant skills, you're highlighting your transferable skills, and you are also connecting with the right people, you're following the right companies that really align with where your hopes and dreams are for your next career goals. Okay, I have to switch over to a different device because my memory card just keeps getting full. But the last thing I wanted to share is just to make sure that you're gaining so much clarity and also that you're staying persistent during your job search, during your career transition. It can definitely become like very disheartening if you're not getting the jobs or if you keep feeling like you're getting rejected. But remember, your opportunity is out there. So if you have to do like me and just pray and cry until the right thing works out, go ahead and do that, and the opportunity is going to be around the corner for you. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Comment below if you are in career transition, what you're trying out, the industries that you're wanting to get into, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.
Please like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at AffirmationsWithAmber.